Hi YouTube, Marko with Marko's Garage, coming today with the 67 C50 heater box. So let's take a look at where I'm at so far and what's going on. As you can see, I removed the heater box, and I'll show you that inside the garage. It's getting cold out, there's snow on everything, so it's time to do this job. And the inside heater box and all this is full of mouse nest from sitting, and as you can see, it's got a little bit of rust on the inside box. I'm going to do the inside box later. I have another one that I'm going to restore, but right now I need to get heat from the engine through the heater hoses, through the heater core, into the box, and get some heat blowing through from the heater motor. And let's go through that. Alright, inside the shop I got the old heater box here that came out of the truck, and as you can see in the top there's a crack in the top here. Something, I don't know if somebody left a tool on it and broke it at some time, and then they tried to silicone it. And anyway, I wanted to find another heater box. I did get another heater box, but not without its problems. Set that down. Okay, so this other heater box, I had to do some repair to it as well, and then I put some paint on it. This is in backwards, they're just sitting there. I restored the hold downs for it, just clean those up, and they'll screw in there. So I've had to clean up and blast and metal finish and paint this, and then there's the flap inside too, which was all rusty. Let me show you what the other one looked like. When I got this heater box, this is how this one was. It was all rusted like this in this box, and mine wasn't as rusted, so I used the piece out of there in this box. Also, this plate here, which has a ring on it that connects up with the cab, something like this. This ring is rusted as well. If you look here, there's a rust hole. And the ring out of the other heater box is also rusty. There's a rust hole somewhere. Oh yeah, right here in the top. So because the rust is in two separate locations, I'm going to cut these rings apart and weld them back together. But I got to restore this plate because it's very thin. It's got some rust on here, a rust hole here, and anyway, this kind of needs to either be rust repaired, or I'm going to just go ahead and I bought some sheet metal here, and I'm going to go ahead and cut out a new one. I'm going to try that out. If that works, then I can totally just discard this piece. I can cut out this little edge here and then tack weld it around the hole. Anyway, you'll see that process of what my idea is, or I rust repair that. Also got a heater motor and fan. I still have to get new hardware for it, so this is the other side of the box. So I just cleaned it up and then gave it a shot of black paint, but very lightly, so you can still see the fiberglass in it. Just a quick light just to gloss it up a bit. There's the heater motor I got. It's a Four Seasons number, I think. So anyway, I'll show you the number I got and what I got also with the squirrel cage. I'll show you the old one. It's the old squirrel cage here and heater motor, and it's, you know, rusty. I could clean this up, it still worked, but I needed a new cage anyway, so I figured for 44 bucks to get a new motor, so I just bought the whole thing. But you can't buy it all together for this truck, at least from my supplier. So I had to get part number 35602, and that's this metal cage here. And also 35587, and that's the blower motor. So this is from Cooling Depot. I think it might also be a Four Seasons part number, but anyway, those two ended up being a good combination for this. And I like the fact that this is metal, because if a leaf or something gets into it, it won't be like this one where it might take a chunk out. I mean, obviously this is abuse. This has been around for a while and probably had a nest in there and all kinds of things, but anyway, we're not going to worry about that. I'm using this Mustang as a workbench. It's a customer's car. I just got some fender covers on here, but so I'm kind of in a tight space. As you can see, my garage, I got projects, guy's differential there, and toolbox. You can see I got just the other side has my Metropolitan and the Lotus up there. Some tools. So anyway, it's just kind of a cold day. I don't feel like pushing this car outside. I got to finish rebuilding the carburetor and other things. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. As you can see, I just traced with a scribe an outside line. I don't know if you can see that on film. So I'm going to just follow that out. So this is very much like grade 1, just like a craft day. Just scissor that out. I'm going to use air shears and let's see what I can do. I'm just going to follow along the edge as close as I can. Well, this is kind of like using the wrong tool for the job, but I got it rough cut out. Now I can work on getting closer to the edges. Now I got the piece trimmed to the same shape as the other one. So the only thing I got to do now is cut out the hole in the middle. And for that I'm going to use the plasma cutter. So one of the things I did, I went to the drill press over here and followed each hole. And so everything is there. So when I undo it, let me undo that. Both pieces, one's just the blank, it has all the holes in it, all in the right spot. So this piece will fit on there, so we just have to cut our hole. So as you can see, I got the pan made here, and I was originally just going to cut out this edge and then kind of spot weld it to the end, but I ended up using pliers and just going around and slowly bending the edge over. And I made an edge on this that to me is good enough. It's not quite as rounded as that, but it'll work. So I'm just going to not worry about that at all. So that panel is made. Now I'm working on cutting out the rusted parts. So like I said, I cut the 2 rusty parts off. And that's the junk. And I got this one here set up in place. Now I just have to weld it. It's just held together with vice grips. So I'm going to weld this together. And it's 20 gauge, so it's fairly light metal to weld, so I got to just spot it. Once I get all this welded together, then I'll bead blast it and metal finish it, and we'll get it ready to actually weld to here. I got one side welded up here. See how that is there? And ground smooth. And now I just have to grind the other side. So this is how the weld looked. It just takes a little bit of time, grind it down, and you end up with a piece. Test fit here. So I preset it in there, and I scribed the line all the way around. All the way around. I don't know if you can see there's that line there. That's where it has to go. So line that up. And once this is blasted and metal finished, I can tack weld it through the holes that I used to drill out the old welds. And it's ready for paint. We got the pieces all ground up, inside and out, on the joints. Glass beater cabinet over there. If I glass bead this, clean it up, it'll be ready to weld, button weld this on here, line it up, and get this done. So that'll be the next step. I just wanted to show you what I used to grind that up. I used mostly this tool here. And this is just a little Rolex disc, and I started out with a heavier grit to sort of grind down the weld, and then finished it off with this softer pad. Also, I had to use this in some of the corners, little carbide bit, and I used a little bit of this cutoff wheel to get into some corners. That's basically what I did to grind that all smooth and get it ready. So here we are, we got the final product. All cleaned up, all metal finished, sandblasted best I can into where the rust pits are, and get that ready to go on, line it up and then weld it and paint it. But I'm going to get some seam sealer and do seam sealing after it's welded. So anyway, I'll get to the next step and show you where I'm at, and that'll rebuild this entire piece. Okay, so here's the finished product. It's all button welded on. I used a little bit of weld through primer so that there's some coating on that metal in between the 2 layers. And then I finished it off with some seam sealer. I went over to a buddy's body shop, so I didn't have to go out and buy a whole tube just for that little bit. And got that all seam sealed up. So that's the back side and this side, and that goes on there. Now, you're probably thinking that's a lot of work just for a heater box, or if this piece is available, I don't know, you can buy the whole box. I'm not sure if this comes with it. It's about $300. Yeah, it's cheaper to buy the box, definitely in time. For myself, I have a little bit of time, and this gives me a chance to show you that you can do it too. You can fix it if you need to, and some vehicles this might not be available. And I know you're not going to see this. You could just kind of patch it up and put it in there. But then at the end of the day, you're never going to see this. But the thing of it is, it's good practice. If you want to do something, it's a good way to try, because if you do get into a situation where it has to look good, you can do it, and that's what I want to show you. Okay, as you can see, I got it all together here. It's all painted, screws are in, and this is all ready to go. Now I just have to mount the heater core. I went and picked up this little angle here, which will give me 2 pieces to go to cover up these holes here where the heater core is, because that's going to be a lot of air leaking out there and heat. So get that done. I didn't need to buy a whole big long piece, so that was $3. I'll use that, cut that in half. I'll give you 2 pieces. And then also, yeah, this Proform PF300. What I was doing was using that to seal off any areas that these flanges seal to the box. Also, where the heater motor goes to the box, keeps everything sealed up so it's nice and airtight. So you get all the air going through the box instead of blowing out and around. Also, there's a drain hole here in the bottom that I added. As I sealed it up with seam sealer, if water sits in here, I don't want it to sit in here and rust like it did. So there's a drain hole in the bottom which will just exit and go down out of the truck. And because this is drawing air in, there might be a little bit of air coming into the hole, but it's not going to hurt anything. So anyway, that's it there. This is for the cold heat bypass flap. That's all hooked up and done. So now we just got to put our heater core in, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with this. I got the 2 pieces cut here. Let's get them on the heater core. I'm trying to get it in. It's a bit long, so I'm just going to cut them a little shorter. But you can see what's going to happen here. It's going to kind of fill up those holes. Okay, so I got them cut to about 3/4 of an inch long, or just under an inch. Get them in. Okay, so as this heater core pushes in, there's an edge that catches the return lip on the other side. And so basically that heater core is in there. It's not going anywhere now. It's got that foam on the end. And that sort of puts compression on the heater core. That's good. So that keeps air from leaking out, which is what I want. And now I can put these, there's screws that go in the holes here. They help hold the heater core in place. They're installed. Everything's done. Got the little ground strap on that grounds the motor. And you can see that foam there goes around the pipe nicely, kind of seals that off. So this is now ready to go in the truck. I'm just going to put that flexible sealant caulk around the edge here and go get it in the truck. But now it's dark out, so let's get her done. Okay, so here it is. I put a door seal around the edge here, and then this here is that flexible caulking, and it's all going to go on here. There's 2 studs that line up from the inside box. Just bolt it up. All we got to do now is hook up our heater hoses, add the coolant. Inside there's a little cable that has to be attached, so I'll do that. Let's do that, and then we'll get the hoses on and see if we get heat. Okay, so it's next morning. There's frost on the windows. You can even see my breath. Anyway, open the hood here. Alright, so you can see I got the heater hoses on here, on the engine, up to the heater core. There's the heater box all installed. It's not super cold, it's maybe -3 out right now. But let me go ahead and give this a open up here. Let's see what it's like to start this here. Okay. Pumps, make sure it's in neutral. Alright. This also has a high idle knob here, so we'll turn that up a bit. Perfect, let that warm up. As you can see, got oil pressure, temperature gauge is cold, everything's cold. Windshield's frosted up. Let's see how the heater works. So we want to turn the fan on. It's high here. Okay. Now we want heat and defrost. Put on the frost in the windows. Still cool, a little bit, just started up. Alright, I'm going to show you on the other side something. Okay, under here there's that cable I had to remove the grommet and that bolt and then reconnect it once the heater box was in place. And that controls that flap on the inside where they get hot or cold air. And that's controlled by this heat lever down at the bottom here. Okay. There we go, that's all those knobs. And the dash pad and heater vents I got from Scott's trucks here. I'll give it a few minutes, it should start warming up. Got the hoses starting to get warm. Seems to be running good. It's already starting to defrost the window there. Oh, it's starting to blow better than cold air. The gauge is still on cold, so it'll just come up. All clear. It's coming up nice and warm. The gauge is just coming off the cold. Oh, it's nice and warm already. Perfect. Well, there you have it, putting the heater in the C50, rebuilding the box and what it took. Again, you could buy a whole new box if you want. It's the same as the C10. I bought a used one, as you saw earlier there, and ended up having to restore all the metal work and using pieces from the old box out of this truck. It's not just a truck that's only going to be driven in the summer, and I'm not looking to put vintage air in it and all that other stuff. So for a stock heater, it works. And if I need to use the truck in colder weather to get parts or something like that, I still can. So that's the whole idea. So anyway, if you like this video, please subscribe, ring that bell for notifications, and have a great day.